don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. The air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. We sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living rooms. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman, because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value. So, I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
Well, hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome, welcome, welcome. It is Monday, March 23rd, 2026. The 23rd of March. It is, would have been my dad's 66th birthday today. So a big shout out and happy heavenly birthday to my father, Herbert Dwayne Bilbrey. Dwayne Bilbrey, as most people knew him. So big shout out and happy birthday to the big man. And yeah, that's that. We have a big round of birthdays in my family in March and April. My stepfather starts it out on March 12th. My mother is March 18th. My father is March 23rd. My grandmother is April 7th, and my grandfather is April 30th. So we have a big round of birthdays right here at the spring, and so we go bam, 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 just real quick. So a big happy birthday to my dad, and yeah, that's that. We also have a lot of crazy information. You know, we have a lot of important information in government. Wait a minute, Alva. Are you saying your dad's birthday was today? Was your dad's birthday today? Is that what you're saying, Alva? Today? That would be crazy. If that's the case. Well, that's crazy. So Alva's dad's birthday is March 23rd, and my dad's birthday. That's interesting. I was trying to figure out like a way we could have been like brothers, but I that doesn't really work. So, well, happy birthday, happy big 88th birthday to Alva's dad, a big heavenly birthday. So your dad would have been is a year older. No, it was same age as my grandpa. Okay, that's crazy. Wow. That's pretty crazy. Well, happy birthday to all of the people out there alive and on the other side. And yeah, that's a big thing. So pretty wild. Well, that's that. I do want to let you guys know that Kate is MIA. I guess it's still hailing wherever she is in the world. She is MIA. So apologies for not getting the things up and down the comments. So that's what's going on. I can see the comments. Your comments are all there. We are reading them. They're just not on the screen, which let me tell you, honestly, I like it when they're not on the screen. They're right there where I can see them. They're in a good place. It's good. I like it when it's like that, but it is what it is. So she might be sneaking in here at some point, or maybe it'll be hailing the entire show. I don't know. Maybe she got fired. I don't know. She is in this great big conspiracy where she's trying to take the show from me. A lot of people don't know this. Only if you're a real super genius would you know this. And so she's really playing the long con, because her and Niles have both been very big parts of the show for, let me see, it's 2026. Yeah, right at about 10 or 11 years now. So whatever Kate's plan is, she's either really playing the long con, or it's not, something's not working. I don't know what she's doing, but if she's going to take it over and kick me to the curb, I wish she would do it already. So no. Okay. We'll see if she comes in here. I don't know what's going on. I hope she's okay. I haven't talked to her, Niles, this afternoon. So hopefully everything's going all right there. That being said, we're going to be covering two events. And like I said, I started to say, a lot of times things that we cover here are serious or very important, very serious. And that's good to cover. And then sometimes we cover like really crazy things off topic. They're just very, very strange and comical. So we're going to be covering like one of each of those in this episode. We're going to be talking about some Delaware County news right here at the beginning, some important Delaware County news that we're going to be covering. And then we're also going to be talking about some news out of Henry County, and that is the news on the other side, on the back half of the show, that we're talking about that. And that is news that's kind of like what's happening here. So that's kind of what the show is going to be about. So if you know of anybody that's interested in hearing about my take on the Delaware County news, what happened today, we will be talking about that. And then on the back end of the show, the other side, second half, we will be talking about that as well. So we will get there, and we'll let you guys know. We are also going to be, I see that Corey is down in the comments, and I apologize. I think you either called or text. We are so close to having the move of the studio done. I've been real crazy today. We had to walk through at the other place and did all of that stuff. I'm trying to get everything together. I think that we're going to be taking care and talking about the deposition tomorrow. The deposition should be airing tomorrow evening. I will send you a text. It's Monday. Wednesday, we're going to have a guest on. So yes, tomorrow will be the deposition coverage. So we'll talk about that tomorrow evening, and that will be the show for tomorrow. So I started to text you that, and my phone died, and I never got down to charge it before we had to go live. So that's what's going on with that. So all right. I woke up this morning thinking that there was a Delaware County Commissioners meeting today, but I was technically wrong. well, I ended up not being wrong, but I was technically wrong. For some reason, there's 4 Mondays in this month. And so we've already had the first meeting on the 1st of the month and the second meeting on the 3rd of the month. And today is, am I saying that right? Are there 4 or 5? Wait a minute. Let me take a look here. Double check. 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 5. There are 5. That's the problem. So we had the first commissioners meeting for Delaware County on Monday the 2nd. We had the second meeting, which happens on the 3rd, on the 16th. That was last week. And then we have 2 more Mondays. That's kind of what was throwing me off. And so I was waiting to see this commissioners meeting this morning, and there was nothing. Well, they've already called a special meeting for Delaware County for the 26th. So that will be on Thursday. They're going to have a special meeting on Thursday, and I don't know what that special meeting is for, actually. That being said, there was also a special meeting called for today, and it was normally when they call their special meetings, they're called on the same date and at the same time, like on Mondays at 9 o'clock in the morning, or if they're going to have like one during the later in the week, it's still 9 o'clock in the morning. However, the special meeting they called today was kind of like, I wouldn't call it an emergency meeting, but it wasn't planned. So they called a special meeting, and it was held today at 4 p.m. And that's like a little, normally they don't do that. You know what I mean? And so when this meeting popped up, and I thought, okay, there's something's going on here. Something big is happening. And so I was waiting to see, and they got right to it. And so without further ado, we're going to click on here and let you guys see this. If you have not watched this, it's a very short meeting. It only lasts, it's under 4 minutes. And so you can be assured in government, when there is a meeting that's a pop-up special emergency, special type meeting, and it only lasts, a handful of minutes, you can be just absolutely sure that it's something serious and something's going on. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. For those of you that have not watched this, this is the Delaware County Commissioners meeting. Delaware County Commissioners, there are, of course, 3 of them. The president is Sherry Riggin. Then there are, she's flanked on both sides by Stephen Brand, which is to our left on the screen, and it would be her right, and then the one with hair in the black shirt. And then to our right, her left, is, of course, Commissioner Shannon Henry. And so let's let them get this meeting underway. And I've already fast forward. I think. Oh no, they don't do the pledge and all that. They just get straight to it. So here we go.
Will come to order. It's now 4:07, March 23rd. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
They did do that. I guess I didn't know they did that.
Chairman Ever.
Here.
Present. Thank you. Mr. Brook, would you like to explain our meeting today, please?
Turn on your mic.
Turn your mic on, John.
It's so strange to me. It's really so strange to me how much they let John Brook just run the show. John Brook is an attorney. He's the county attorney. He is a former Delaware County Commissioner. So he's actually held their seats before, been in that position. he is right now just their attorney. He's an appointed figure, and really he's in a position where, he should talk as less as possible. He shouldn't interject or whatever, but they have him interject, and he runs a lots of the meetings and says things and does things really that I think they should be handling. There's no reason that one of the commissioners couldn't have handled what he's getting ready to say. Now, it is a lot better because when James King and Shannon Henry and Sherry Riggin were the commissioners, he just ran the show. It was his deal, But here old John goes.
Yep, I'm sorry. This is a special meeting as requested by the Board of Commissioners to deal with personnel matters. Since this is a special meeting, you can only consider the matters that are personnel related for this meeting. It's a single purpose meeting. So the issues are concerning the recent activity over in the emergency medical services. It dealing with the status of the emergency management agency director and the EMS director. Because of the nature of investigations going on, the commissioners want to have a discussion about and decide what they want to do with regard to both of those positions.
With that being said, I would make a motion to suspend the EMA director.
EMS director.
I'm sorry.
Oh, you're EMA director? Okay,
Yeah, we'll do the EMA director first, and his suspension will be with pay.
I'll second.
Oh, please.
Commissioner Brand.
Yes.
Henry.
Yes.
Commissioner Reagan.
Yes.
Next, I would make a motion to.
All right. And man, that just goes bam. And then now they're moving on into what, he's saying like next, we're going to do this. So what you just heard there, ladies and gentlemen, with basically no conversation, no fanfare, no kind of further conversation whatsoever. The next right there, what you heard were the Delaware County Commissioners basically suspending the director of the Delaware County Emergency Management Agency. And that director is John Catino. He's been in this position for quite some time now. And what you'll notice, well, you probably didn't notice it because you wouldn't have, was they did not list a time or length of the suspension. And that's not something that you would specifically notice right then until you get ready to hear the second act of business they take. But I will have you note that they suspended John Catino, the director of the Delaware County EMA, which is Emergency Management Agency. They suspended him with pay. With pay. He suspended with pay, but the suspension is without time. So it's in my opinion, a suspension that will be ongoing. It will be a suspension that it's not going to be done in 2 days. It's not going to be done in 3 days. It's not going to be done in a week. And now it could be that at the end of the week, they say, okay, well, we're just going to fire you, or we're going, because of X, Y, or Z, or they lift the suspension. We don't know. I'm just letting you know there's not a time constraint that they've put on this. So that's important. And that they did suspend him with pay. So he will not be coming in. He will not be acting in his official capacity, but he will be getting paid. Now, it's important. We have a question here, and I will put this up. Jennifer Morgan says, could there be any relation between the Jay County EMS employee that just pled guilty to felony drug charges and the Delaware County EMS theft investigations. No, I don't believe that there's any connection to that whatsoever. While there are definitely people that are connected between both services, I don't believe that there is connection between the situation up there. This gentleman that you see on the screen here, John Catino, there is definitely a connection between John Catino and then the woman that you see on the screen here, which is Megan Catino. This is his wife. Megan Catino's on screen now. John Catino was the gentleman on the screen. They are both had been both Delaware County employees. John is not EMS, he's EMA. He was the director of EMA. Megan is a former office manager for Delaware County EMS, okay? EMS. And so she was fired at the beginning of March, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, somewhere around in there. She was let go. And of course, she is the main suspect, main target of a theft absolutely, there is a theft investigation going on. That's not alleged. There is a theft investigation going on. She is the target of that investigation. The allegations are that she has stolen Delaware County funds, Delaware County monies, and that's what the firing was about, and that's what the theft investigation by the state police is looking into. Now, as I said, she was an office manager for Delaware County EMS. Her husband, John Catino, was the director of Delaware County Emergency Management Agency. And these two together, outside of their employment for the county, they had a contract because they have a business outside of the government where they clean businesses, and they had contracted to clean some government-owned buildings, such as EMA, 911, EMS type of structures and buildings. So they had been doing that, and I don't know how much he or how much she was involved with either one of those, but that's the situation. All right, we move on to the next section there, and I want and I see that there's other important comments. I will get to those, but we're going to go on here now to this next part. And all right, here we go with that.
To suspend the.
We'll stack.
Make a motion to.
So it goes on. That vote happened 3-0. Here we go.
Next, I would make a motion to suspend the EMS Director. That suspension will be for 3 days. That suspension will be without pay.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Brand,
Yes.
Commissioner Henry,
Yes.
Yes.
And just for the record.
Okay, and so we're going to pause there and now take you to the EMS Director, which is this gentleman, Delaware County EMS. So that's now Emergency Medical Services. This is Mike Ashley. Mike Ashley is the Delaware County EMS Director. He's had that position since the last director left, Jason Rogers. And he is being suspended for 3 days. In his situation, we learned that the suspension will be for 3 days, and the suspension is without pay. Now that's a pretty big deal. Listen, it's 3 days, so it's not the end of the world, but generally they don't do that. I mean, that's a pretty heavy deal that they're doing that. And so that's interesting. And now I want to go back and answer some of these questions that are here on the screen here. So after we answered Jennifer's question, Alva says no discussion. Yes, and so the reason that there's no discussion as far as like what's going on is because this is dealing with personnel issues, and so you cannot really discuss personnel issues in an open meeting like that. All of that stuff is handled in executive meetings done behind closed doors for privacy reasons and things like that. Now, when something is ever found to be, it's happened here, someone's been arrested or whatnot, we will know more of that. But as far as the ins and outs, now listen, I have sources who will leak information to me. That always happens. We'll verify that information. We'll do our best to vet it and decide if it's something that we will talk about or not talk about. But at this point, that's the reason that's going on. Okay, now Heather has said, why suspend one with pay and one without? I don't understand. Okay, so here's the situation with that. First of all, these guys are different people. Okay, so they're totally separate, different people here. So while there's some connection and overlap of what's happening here, I think that they're being suspended for different reasons. Things are happening for different reasons. So we'll have to look at what's going on there, because keep in mind there's a couple of different questions with what's going on with Megan. The first question was, what did she take? How much did she take? And when we're talking about taking, see, everybody keeps coming back to the fact that she was being paid this exorbitant amount of money. That's not part of the theft investigation. That's not something where it's like, ooh, she changed her thing. She was put in a position where she was doing a job. She was doing one job, and she was kind of coded as another job, and they are giving her a salary which I honestly feel like she shouldn't have been making. She should have been being paid the office manager salary, and she would have been making quite a bit less. I feel like that's probably why he's in trouble, because he essentially, it would be like having you come in and we're just going to have you clean up around the office, but I'm going to pay you to be, a manager, so if you're getting paid more than for what you're doing, that's not really your fault. It would be my fault. And so I think that's what he's in trouble for. I think they're in this investigation because there's two different investigations going on, right? So there's an internal HR investigation going on where the county building, the county government is attempting to find out what in the hell is going on here. Okay. And then there is a second investigation where the state police are looking into, was there a criminal was there a criminal act here? Who was involved? Was there a conspiracy? Were there more than one person? Was it just one person? Whatever. And so that's kind of what goes on here. So what we're seeing is the EMS director, Mike Ashley, who's on screen, he's suspended without pay for 3 days. All right. At the end of 3 days, he will get his duties back. He'll get his job back. Everything will go as planned, unless other action is taken at that point, which we'll have to wait till then to see. John Catino here, on the other hand, is the EMA director, and he was suspended for an indefinite period of time. Could be 3 days, could be 5 days, could be 7 days, could be a year. There are people that are suspended like that. I don't foresee it going that long. I think that this will be a pretty quick investigation, but he was suspended with pay. And now, in the reason why is he being suspended, I have no clue other than to say John Catino here is the husband of Megan Catino. Megan Catino worked for the other guy, okay, as the office manager, getting paid more. But the issue here is, outside of what she was getting paid, there is now an allegation that she had been taking funds from the county, and we do not have a dollar figure. Okay, we just don't know what that is yet. I'm hearing that it's a pretty substantial dollar amount. And when I'm saying that, I'm hearing in excess of $10,000 or maybe more. Okay, that's what I'm hearing from sources. All right. So that's what's going on. And it's kind of strange like that. So Jeremy said that's probably because his wife is under investigation and she doesn't get paid, which is true. So they are going to pay him. EMS is crazy that he got no pay and 3 days. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what exactly is going on there. I don't know. And then Jeremy says they owned it. They were very involved. Yeah, here's what I mean by what I said. So they owned the company together, husband and wife. They're both on the company. But you know how, like, you and your spouse could own something, but she could do it more than you, or you could be doing it more than her. And then, of course, there's allegations that they were getting paid to clean buildings or areas that they weren't in fact cleaning. So then that's the other situation here, that there's like theft through, not like ghost employment because it's a contract, but basically they're getting paid for not doing the work. That's some of the other allegations. And I just put that out there as allegations. There's no proof of that yet. We are going to have to wait and see what goes on. So this is interesting. Heather says, so 2 guys got suspended, EMA guy indefinite with pay. EMS guy gets 3 days and no pay. What did the one stealing the money get? The one stealing the money, the woman, got fired. She was fired. And so that's what happened. She was fired back on the 2nd or 3rd of March. And we've covered it. I can't say obviously because I don't want to say that. If you haven't seen it, you haven't seen it. But we covered her firing and everything back some time ago. Now, that's not the end of the meeting. The meeting goes on here. I'm going to let you hear more of what happens. They're going to wrap the meeting up here. Let's go back to the meeting and finish this meeting. Let me back her up here just a little bit. Here we go.
And just for the record, the Deputy Director of EMA will take over those duties. Mr. Corey Kissick, and then the EMS.
So the Deputy Director of EMA, Corey Kissick, will take over his director's duties for the foreseeable future. And then the Deputy Director of EMS will take over for the 3 days. And that is
director position for the next 3 days will be handled by Greg Michaels, who's second in command at EMS.
Thank you.
Now, I'll show you here. So they do that. He announced that, and here's what happens for the rest of it.
Okay. A letter will be prepared for each of those positions to advise them of.
So John says a letter will be prepared for both of those individuals, and the letter will be sent out. Okay, great.
The action that was taken at this meeting will be delivered to each of those individuals. Okay.
Thank you. Anything else?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Henry.
Yes.
Mr. Brand.
Yes.
Mr. Reagan.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, that, ladies and gentlemen, is
Don't,
it.
no, you are not free to leave.
Yeah, you're not free to leave. Don't leave. Don't leave, damn it. So that's it. Short and sweet and to the point. Now, it's very peculiar to me because now people are saying like, wait, I wonder if he's suspended in trouble because it was his wife that was stealing. Like maybe he could have been involved, or did he know? What the hell? If your wife starts bringing home thousands of extra dollars a week, I mean, if she just starts, your wife goes out and is buying a new BMW, and she's, like, oh yeah, honey, go down to the gun store, buy whatever you want. Listen, it's 2026. There are definitely ways in which somebody, man or woman, could be doing some evilness without their partner knowing, I guess. I mean, I feel like I would know, I just feel like I would I would know, but I it's kind of interesting. It's a good question, Julie. Julie says, I wonder how this will affect John's job in Henry County doing whatever it is that he does with Homeland Security down there. It's a very good question, because let me tell you something. John, these type of people that work in EMS and firefighting, it's really weird because of how they work and the infrequency with which they actually work at the department that they're hired on. So a lot of these people will work at a place, but because they only work so many, like once every 4 days, they also work at several other places, and they go from place to place to place. And so John, to my knowledge, I don't know exactly what he does at Henry County, but I know he also has a job where he works for the Ball State Hospital Police Department. And I have to wonder how this situation is affecting any of those other jobs. So, it's almost like if my brother goes out and gets a DUI, or my brother gets arrested for selling cocaine, or my brother, God forbid, kills somebody, I shouldn't, it's like I'm not my brother's keeper. You all heard that. I shouldn't, or I am my brother's keeper. Whatever. The point is, in this, the sins of the father shouldn't be, visited on the son. I shouldn't be blamed for something that my brother does or something that my father does. I'm in control of myself. I should get the applause for what I do, the accolades for my good works, and I should be in trouble for my misdeeds. If Susie is going to work every day and working at the bank and she's doing everything good, and her husband, David, is a plumber and he's also killing people and, burying them in the backyard at night, she shouldn't be treated differently. She shouldn't lose her job. If you're in a position where you guys work so closely together, you're working, basically Delaware County pays them both, and they didn't work in the same department, but they worked in very close proximity to one another. Yeah, I don't know. I find it hard to believe. That he just was totally oblivious to this, And Jeremy says, here's the thing. I believe if he does know, they can't force him to testify. Listen, that's not even, I'm only looking at what he knows or what he doesn't know as how it relates to whether he keeps his job or not. That's the number one thing. As far as her going to court or whatever, I feel like if this all washes out that yes, she was doing it, yes, she stole $12,750, something to that effect, or whatever, $9,000, $16,000, whatever the amount of money is. If she took it, I don't think there's going to be a trial. I think she'll take a plea, and that'll be how that'll wash out. I don't believe she's going to fight it, because that would be just stupid. In today's day and age, it's very, 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 very hard to get away with financial crimes like this. That's just absolutely insane to me. Okay. So that's that. And so, I think it's weird. The question I actually take it out of the question of what's going on with these employees. Because look, I'm not a crime beat reporter. I'm not out here doing all the, this guy got in trouble for this, and these people got locked up, and here's the jail log for today. I don't give a shit. Do your crime, do your time. Everybody is free to do what you can, what you will, whatever, as long as you're willing to pay the consequences for it. On here, my dad's birthday, I will throw out that good bit of wisdom that my dad implanted in me. You are capable of doing whatever you want to do. Whatever you want to do, go do it. Good, bad, right, wrong, indifferent, whatever. You just have to be willing to pay the consequences that go along with it. So whatever's going to end up shaking up with these people will shake out, and we'll cover it. Here's the thing, though. We're now talking that we are suspending people outside of Megan. Megan was fired. Megan's being investigated. Now Megan's husband is being suspended. Megan's boss is being suspended. Are these people being investigated for something? Will they be investigated? Is the investigation going to widen to reach other people under maybe conspiracy or things? Time will tell. I don't know. My question is, what's happening? Who's looking at? Are we going to look at or talk about their connection and their relationship with Delaware County Commissioner Shannon Henry? And people might say, what? What do you mean? Whatever could you mean? Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is widely known that Delaware County Commissioner Shannon Henry and the Catinos, man and woman, husband and wife, they are connected like brothers and brother and sister-in-law, like a father and son, like nephew and uncle, whatever the situation is. I don't know. They're very close. And when I mean very close, like I've got a lot of enemies, obviously. I've got a lot of friends. I've got a lot of friends that I'm like, hey, yeah, you're my friend. But I don't hardly ever see him. I don't hardly ever talk to him. If they call, I'll call. If I call, we'll talk. But they don't come over to my place. I don't come over to their place. It is what it is. Then I have a lot of people that I'm very close to. And then I have a lot of people that I am very, very close to. People that are like family members to me. And that's what Catinos and Shannon are like, okay? We're talking about hanging out in each other's garages after work. We're talking about going out and drinking a beer together, smoking cigars together, going on vacation together, things like that. That's what I'm talking about. They're very, 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 very close. I'm not 100% sure, and I will correct this, and if I'm wrong, I will say I'm wrong. I believe they live across the street from one another. I'm pretty certain that they either live next door to each other or across the street from each other. They live very, very close together in their community. And I'm not, I wouldn't dox them. I'm not directing you to their house. I wouldn't tell you if I could. I don't know where they live, but they live in Albany. Everybody's aware of that. They're very, very heavily Albany influential people in the small town of Albany there, whatever it means. John Contino was at one point a reserve on the Albany Police Department when Shannon Henry was the chief of the Albany Police, and so they are close. They've been close for a very long time. So I guess my question is, if we are suspending, sorry, I was trying to pull my sock up there. If we are suspending the husband because of his closeness in relation to his wife, who we fired and who's under investigation for this alleged crime, and we are suspending her boss because of whatever role he played in whatever went on there, or whatever we find out at some point. There's no way to suspend the commissioner. We don't get to suspend him. Am I freezing? Let me tell you, Kate's not here. Is anybody else having trouble with the lagging, or is it just Heather? And contrary to popular belief, there are some people out there that believe that Heather is Kate. I don't know where that's came from all of a sudden. But Heather is her own person. Heather is someone from Newcastle. And I don't know what that is. Benita says he just granted his buddy suspension with pay. Well, so first and foremost, yes and no. I was interested in, yeah, Heather's, I'm not Kate. That's hilarious. Not here. Sorry, Heather. It's those Chinese weather balloons. I might suggest, Heather, that you go out, get out of the system and come back in. Sometimes that will help. Julie Mayfield, thank you. Glenda said no. Jay Guffey said no. Thank you. Thank you. I want to talk about what Benita is talking about here, because this is interesting to me. Benita says he just granted, meaning Shannon Henry, just granted his buddy Catino suspension with pay. So what's interesting with this is, so yes, now they talked about this before coming on camera, and I don't blame that solely on Shannon. Shannon could have said, I want to suspend him with pay. And the other two commissioners could have spoke up and said, we want to suspend him without pay. He needs to be punished. And if they would have said that, Shannon could have said, nope, I'm going to make the motion. Then all he would have had to do is make the motion to suspend with pay, and it could have died for lack of a second. But that's not what happened. Sherry seconded it. So once they seconded it, then they took the vote. Sherry and Brand could have voted no. It could have died 2-1, but it didn't. They voted all along. So I don't blame that totally on Shannon. There's a lot that I blame on Shannon, and there's a lot that I think needs to happen. And I really think that, I mean, maybe the state police is looking at all that. I hope they are. You know, I really hope they're looking into all of that. Probably what I would have done is I would have had Brand making the motions and doing the talking, or had Sherry making the motions and doing the talking. Or maybe it's a situation that Shannon has nothing to do with this. And Shannon's like, look, I know I'm getting blamed. I know that people know that we're close, but I didn't know they did this. And maybe he says, you know what, I'm gonna be the one to do it. And I will tell you this, maybe whatever they have behind the scenes isn't enough. Maybe by law, what they needed to do was suspend him for the indefinite period, but they needed to with pay because maybe they don't have enough to let him go or to fire him. Maybe they don't. Maybe he's not going to be. I'm talking about John here. Maybe he's not going to be caught up in the criminal charges, and then all they would have had to do is pay him, give him back pay, and do all of that. So, look, the bottom line here is, number one, I don't think this investigation, I don't think this is going to drag on. I mean, it's been 22 days. Okay. And people might say, well, that's been a really long time. That's been a really, really long time. And in the grand scheme of things, it's, it's a good amount of time. But the way that government moves, the way that things like that go, let's say she was fired on the 4th. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Today's just the 13th business day. So I don't think it's too bad. And I guess what I'll say is, I think that probably this investigation will wrap up quickly, and he will either keep his job because he will have been cleared, or he won't keep his job, and then further punishment will happen. He'll be suspended without pay, or he'll be terminated, or whatever. Now, I would say there's people that's saying that he needs to resign and they need to clean house here. I would say that's probably not a bad idea, to just go ahead. I couldn't imagine. I'll tell you right now, if my wife, was doing this and I didn't know about it, I did not know about this. And if I'm at work doing my thing, and then all of a sudden my wife calls me and says, hey, I'm going home for the day. And I'm like, why? And she's like, I just got let go. And I'm like, what? Once I find out what's happened, first of all, I would be mortified. Okay. We don't know what John's done here. Maybe he went in and talked to him. I don't know. I don't know that I could work there. I don't know. I think that I would have to say, I'm so shocked about this. I'm mortified, and I would probably resign. Okay, maybe just taking him away from the limelight to protect him and allow him to support his wife should have made him use his paid overtime, vacation time. Yeah, look, look, I completely understand that. Stumblefoot says there's no damn way he didn't know what his wife's finances were. I agree with you 100%. This is going to be interesting how this shakes out. I do believe that it's not going to take much longer. I think that we will know, and I think that it won't. I think that it won't. Take much longer before we know. So I keep having people message me like every day, hey, has Megan been arrested yet? Listen, when I know, you will know. I posted this out there. I made post. People, you're allowed to share this, pass it along. I made a Facebook post about it and shared it in all of the Delaware County groups that I knew about this. And Sir Baldwin says he's the he's the Henry County high five supervisor. Good. Yes. In your article, you mentioned she stole from the boosters at Delta. Did you say that the state police were involved in that as well? Yeah. So in the posting that I made about this online, I did make mention, and I've talked about it on here. Everybody that's been involved in this basically knows about this. Let's see here. I said this, of course, is connected to the firing of EMS Office Manager Megan Catino, who is now under investigation by the Indiana State Police for theft. Megan Catino is the wife of EMA Director John Catino, and these two are very close friends with EMS Director Mike Ashley and Delaware County Commissioner Shannon Henry. Besides her role as EMS Director, Megan is also apparently contracted to clean county-owned buildings connected to EMA, EMS, and 911. There have also been allegations that Megan was under investigation by the Indiana State Police for theft from a sports booster program at Delta High School, but she paid a large sum of that money back, and the investigation was closed. So I will tell you what I know about that. And I'll be honest. Look, I don't know these people from Adam. I'm not connected to these people anyway. I don't care what happened to these people anyway. I've got to say this. There are children involved with that, and I just hate that part. I don't wish anything bad for the kids. I don't want them to get any kind of crap for this at school or anything. So if anybody, there's been a couple people that have said, why haven't you talked about this? And my only hesitance is the kids. Okay. That's the only thing I want to say about that. Okay. I will say, because it is out. So allegedly there was a golf boosters program that she was somehow connected to, because obviously her children are in sports, and apparently one or more is involved with golf program. And that there was a large sum of money that came up missing from the golf boosters, and they had suspected that it was taken, obviously. And that essentially what happened was she was under investigation by the Indiana State Police, and apparently the Indiana State Police was close to putting the bracelets on her and making an arrest and doing the whole 9 yards. She apparently was made aware of this, and she paid the money back, or a large part of the money back, but maybe not all of it. And I want to say, Stumblefoot says here is very important. If you go in and you rob a bank and you steal $25,000 from the bank, and before the police catch you, you take $20,000 of it back, or hell, maybe you take all $25,000 back. That's great. That's nice. That's wonderful. It doesn't negate the fact that you committed the crime in the first place. That being said, I don't think that she got special treatment because of like, ooh, you're do. I think what happened here was, and I don't have specifically any, I've heard people talk about this, but I don't have specific proof of this. Okay. I think what I'm hearing is she paid this back, and the school said they no longer wanted to go forward. And so what they did was they said to the state police, like, we don't want to be the victim. We don't want to go forward. We got the money back. That's all that matters to us. That happens. Now, you don't have to have the victim. The state police could still have went ahead. It wasn't the school's call. The police could have said, okay, we're going ahead. The prosecutor's office, could file charges based off whatever. But a lot of times, the police will listen to a victim in that situation, specifically when it's like a school. I mean, and I'm not 100% sure of the full situation there. So, whatever. And listen, maybe if she would have gotten trouble with here's the deal. If she would have gotten trouble with the school situation, she would have gotten trouble in her EMS job, and that would have all been done. But maybe if she would have gotten trouble with the school situation, she wouldn't have been stealing from the county. I don't know. But yes, she needs, I'm not even at this point talking about a tough love. She needs to face consequences for her actions. And that's where we are here. She's now been stealing from 2 different places, and pretty extensive amounts of money. And so it's time for her to live up to what she's done. And it is what it is. EMS stepped up and paid it back. Yeah, no, I don't think that they did that. I don't think they've got the money to do that. I think she did it in and of herself. And look, some people said, well, maybe she was stealing from the school. She realized, oh shit, I've got to pay that back really quickly. And so she paid it back. She stole from the county to pay back the school. I don't believe that. I think it was more a situation where she was stealing from the school and stealing from EMS, the county, the county, all at the same time. And, her shit just crumbled in at about the same time. That does happen. Next you'll be telling is they high five. Yeah, right. It's really bad. All right. I will stay on this. I'll keep you guys posted, and I'll let you know what, if anything, when, where, how I hear anything more about this. The minute that she is handcuffed and she is walking into jail, I will post it and let you guys know. And I will keep you guys posted. She never paid back all that she stole from. Yeah. I'm aware of that. I'm aware of whatever she took, she did not pay all of it back. Like, let's just say off the top of our head that she stole $12,000. She paid back like $8,000. So there's still money owed there, whatever the situation is, but that's kind of what I'm hearing. So there is more to this. As soon as we get it, we will let you know, and we will keep you guys posted. Now, we're getting ready to move on to a situation in Henry County. Before we move on to the situation in Henry County, though, it's still Henry County related topic. We're going to talk about the bee issue, this Henry County versus the bees, like the little insect. Bzzz, okay. Before we talk about this, though, I just want to go back for a second and talk about the show last night and talk about the show last Thursday. And I just want to say, how crazy this is. So, Travis Week contacted me last Thursday because he had misinformation. Okay. He made the allegation, heard the allegation. He claimed he had heard the claim. Somehow it got in his little pea brain that I had made a statement that I didn't make. And then it was also in his little pea brain that I made that statement more than once. I made it multiple times. And he contacted me about that. I quickly let him know he was mistaken. I gave him proof that he was mistaken. I questioned him on why he didn't look up the information before contacting me, which he could have easily done. He didn't follow through with that. He didn't basically use any of my statement that he said he would. He then put out an article that had misinformation in the article. His story, his article, his baby to the world, under the headline, more security footage from the Henry County Jail, whatever it was, that was his baby. Those were his words. He typed them up. He put them out. Contained misinformation. And it wasn't just one bit of misinformation, or two. It might have been 2 or 3 bits of misinformation that Travis put out in the world. And so I just want to make it clear that Travis, you, buddy, came after me claiming that I had misspoke or that I had purposely made some kind of statement that was erroneous, but I didn't. And I tried to clarify that with you, but you had no time for me. You didn't want to listen to what I had to say. And so you then put out this essay to the world, this article, your story, in which you claimed that Gully was in jail on the 19th. He wasn't. You claimed that Gully was saying, "I'm healed. I'm healed." Gully never said that. So my question, sir, is, do you have any comment about your misinformation? You made multiple statements that were not correct in your article. Do you have any comments? I tell you what, why don't you, Travis, get those comments to me by 9 o'clock tomorrow morning? And if you do, I'll put those comments in the next piece I do on you, okay? Wink, wink, all right? I just... What? What a joke. All right? And what's funny to me is I had multiple people contact me today saying, well, I know if it was my office that was doing some mess and he contacted me, I know he wouldn't be giving me the benefit of the doubt the way he gives Sproles. I had people all over Henry County and Newcastle telling me that they're never showed the same courtesy that Sproles has shown. So I gotta ask why that is. Why is that, buddy? Let me think on that, Travis, and put it in your comments that you're gonna let me know. Okay, get back to me on that. All right. Enough of that. I just wanted to just go over again. I don't know that I hit it hard enough last night about the fact that this was all about misinformation that he came after me about. And it wasn't my bad. I didn't say the misinformation. The whole misinformation is Travis's middle name. It's Travis Misinformation Week. I just think that people need to know. Okay. The bees. I've heard about this for a while now, since February, that Henry County Commissioner Susan Hoon has some kind of a deal where she's got some kind of issue with his new nickname is Misty. Susan's got some kind of issue with bees. Now, I don't even know how to start this and how to talk about this with seriousness. It's not like there's, Henry County is in excellent health government wise. It's basically heaven on earth. Everything's okay. There are no issues. There's no crime to talk about. There's no drug issues. There's no homelessness. Everybody's got a job. All the jobs are wonderful. There's no NIMBY civil issues. Everything's good to go. And all that we have to focus on, the only thing that we have to focus on is this bee issue. She's living in a dream or something. She's nuts. I mean, this is legitimately crazy to me. You're talking about the wrong town. Yeah, no kidding. Hey, it's not me. It's not me. It's Susan Hoon. It's y'all's commissioner. Now listen, very much like John Sproles, I told you guys, do not elect Susan Hoon. Keep Bobby Plummer in the commissioner's seat down there.
And
And it was
definitely
a
don't
very
want to.
close. It was a very close race. Listen, I gotta be honest. It was a very close race, but lo and behold, everybody didn't do what they needed to do, and unfortunately, the weirdo of this segment beat Bobby Plummer and is the commissioner down there. So before we get started, I'm gonna play this. I'm gonna pull this up here on the screen and let you guys see a little bit of this. This is from back on February 11th. I've not even watched this. We're watching this blind. I'm gonna fast forward. Apparently, this is a meeting in which the commissioners got together. Oh God, there's a lot of people there to talk about bees. Let's listen to how this meeting starts. Come on, get started already.
In a short prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God.
View payroll, and if so, do I have a motion?
In 22, the county, 22 and 24, the county have transferred properties to the land bank. And at this time,
Oh my God, Kate
Coroner's
got here.
office.
I thought it was still hailing over there. I wasn't really sure.
No, today I took a nap and just didn't get up.
Jesus.
Had
That
a
you're never
headache.
you're never gonna take the show over that way. Oh God. Now she killed off. I don't even know. Get out of here. All right, here we go.
Highway Department. Nothing.
Well, this isn't
By the
a
way,
special
thank you very
meeting
much
about-
for getting the
Yeah, we actually had a loan on the
What is this?
next up. We have bonds for Gabe Bay.
Those are all Bs.
Oh, here go the bees. Here we go. I knew we would get to talking about bees eventually. Here we go. Here's the bees. Zzz, zzz.
Bond for Michael Mahoney Prosecutor's Office. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion's made and second to approve the bond for Michael Mahoney. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. Next is the bond for Sheriff Sproles. All those in favor?
Motion to approve.
Oh, sorry.
You got it.
Motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. Next,
Yeah.
do I have another one? No, the Sheriff's Department. I have a bond for the task force for the Henry County Sheriff's Department. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion's made and second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. Next up, we have a Tim Earledge complaint on beekeeping.
Here we go.
I guess.
We're having issues with these around our house and our pool from hives that are.
And you,
I'll explain that to you. This is my pool cover. I'm having trouble with bees from the neighbor had moved in a bunch of hives, I think approximately 26. They're about 150 feet from my pool. You're seeing the bees that are accumulating on the cover. When I remove this cover, as I'll state in this later, I've been stung twice, trying to get these off just to get ready to swim. This is a video, I believe, of when the bees started to move in. At one period, they're swarming above the swimming pool area there. I don't know if you can see. Maybe he's just did a video of the pool. See all the white dots up in the air there? Those are all bees, or the dark dots. It's kind of hard to see, but we ran out of the pool again. This is a
Okay.
picture of my neighbor's yard from my fence row with all the different amount of beehives they has. And that's a small picture of them. They're all over.
What I'd like to know is if somebody out there knows, and maybe this is the answer, does this person go to church with Susan Hoon? Does this I would like to know, does this guy go to church with Susan?
Back there.
Hey, Lenny. Lenny.
A little bit
Lenny,
better picture.
you don't have bees, oh God, I've done it. I've done it now. He's been gone so long, I forgot if he's in Ireland or Scotland. And so I think I'm getting ready to make a really bad situation here. I don't know if
Scotland.
Okay, I knew it was one of them. I could have just called him Welsh.
Oh Lord.
It's all the same. It's all the same.
Welsh might have been okay.
Yeah, right.
Call him English.
Yeah,
Right.
right.
Headed to hunt you down, man.
It's all the same.
Don't do
It's all
that.
the same, right?
Tell that to my husband.
You're who?
Another picture of the hives. Another wider picture.
I love this I'm going to see if this guy can do cameraing for the show.
There's all the bees floating around in the air.
I thought Lenny was
Above my swimming
Italian.
pool in the backside
Look
of
at
it.
that. Now that's pretty crazy.
This is on a different occasion. Swarming the trees, all in dots. These are evergreen trees that I planted 300 evergreen trees all the way around the whole property. And these bees are leaving their beehives and going into the evergreen trees and going from tree to tree in masses of thousands.
This is nuts. This is a lot of bees. Oh no, what have I done? God, is he seriously going down every single one? Okay, here's the deal then.
When an excessive number of bees getting access to water and gathering on the pool cover. I contacted the neighbor who owns the bees and asked if he could try moving the bees to the other end of the property away from the pool, and that would provide a pond near them. I have a pond at the other end of my property. Instead of them having access to my pool, I was hoping they would go to the pond. He informed me he had just moved them from the back of his house and was not interested in moving them again. He then informed me he was planning to place more hives on his property later and would place them at my suggested location, the new ones. The bees were moved a small distance by the owner from my property line, but still are visiting the pool and surrounding area. He told me that installing an 80-foot mesh fence would keep bees from flying over, but I would be responsible for installing an upkeep of the fence. I reached out to him because bees kept coming to my swimming pool for water, and I ended up getting stung twice on separate occasions when I tried to take off the pool cover. When swimming, bees tried to come for water. 2 different people were stung by bees floating on water after they encountered them floating on the water with wet wings. We also had a water table beside the pool for my 2-year-old great-granddaughter to play in. We were forced to move it due to the bees floating in that water and was afraid she would be stung. And at the present time, are not sure if she has any allergies to them. My 8-year-old granddaughter tries to rescue bees with her hand from the pool, unaware of the risk of being stung. We also do not know or don't have knowledge whether she has allergies or not to bees. In May, I was having work performed on my pole barn, and the construction crew stated that a swarm of bees so thick that it blocked the sun to him, is how he described it, passed between the barn and the swimming pool. He also stated that on a different occasion, the bees had swarmed his buggy and his family inside it, but had chosen to fly over the buggy instead of through it. This individual is on the opposite adjoining side of this beekeeper. Sorry, I'm nervous.
Yeah, me too.
On June 21st of 25, a swarm of bees gathered at the back of the pool between the fence around the pool and my evergreen trees surrounding my property. We were forced out of the pool and into the house. I watched the bees and they gathered in a cluster at 3 separate locations, leaving each location flying in a swarm. I contacted my neighbor and had them come to the house to see what was happening. He told me he was sorry that it was happening, but that he was not going to move me. The bees gathered in an evergreen tree for the night in a cluster that was about 18 inches long, 3 inches thick, which were exterminated by me that night. A police officer visited me the next day and served me a no trespass warning. I showed the police officer the pile of bees that had been exterminated. He stated that he sympathized with me, but it was a civil matter, not a legal matter, but to contact the police if anything else happened, and they would make another report. And that has a police report with the number on it that he filled out. I tried to contact the county commissioner at this time. 2 county commissioners responded, but they told me that they could not help me. I then contacted the health department, representatives of Purdue University, zoning inspector, and the Department of Natural Resources. I was informed by the DNR that the county commissioner was the office that I needed to contact so that an ordinance could be passed to regulate rules on number of hives, distance from property line allowed, water source that regulated rules on water sources that needed to be provided, and protective barriers required along adjoining property lines. On July 23rd of 25, another swarm of bees gathered over the swimming pool again, chasing us out of the pool and into the house. The police were contacted again, and I was informed again that it was a civil matter, not a legal one, but that they would send an officer out to make another report, which they did. Police report number 25-015721. That night, the bees were exterminated in the evergreen tree that had settled in for the night. We have since been swarmed once again, my wife and I, on October 4th, 2025, while working in the yard. Another swarm of bees came and ran us up.
Lenny.
They landed in a tree between the barn and pool. We didn't call the police because the beekeeper had told Susan, and I don't know how to pronounce your last name.
Hoon.
He would
She
do
apparently doesn't go to
multiple
church
things
with
help
him.
the problem. I did
I
take a video
apologize.
through, and it is included, which is. I also have letters that I intend to present to you, and you have them. From 2 other neighbors stating that the bees have disrupted their lives since the hives were moved in. Susan and I visited another neighbor during a visit that she came out to my residence. He informed both of us that since the neighbors had moved the hives in, that a bee presence had increased and he was having to keep his grass cut down to prevent clover from blooming. He stated that he was having to do this because his son has allergies to bee stings. I'm in constant fear that one of my grandchildren are going to be playing in or alone.
Go get an EpiPen.
My tree line.
Oh, no.
I'll let him finish. Where you going? They're going to be playing in or along my tree line along my property and encounter a swarm of bees and are going to be attacked and possibly killed. Once again,
Dude, it's like My Girl. I was so afraid of that. Or My Boy, or what show is that movie? My Girl. Macaulay Culkin. You know, whichever kid it was. It's one of Kate's kids. Played in that role. But I remember that was very scary.
my family faces restrictions on activities we can do on our own land due to the presence of bees. I picture an 8-year-old swatting at bees to ward them off, which triggers a whole swarm to attack. Everything I've learned suggests responsible beekeeping should contact neighbors and assesses how their bees might impact the surrounding area. No such action took place in this case. I have found in Brown County, they have ordinances and typical regulations in effect, which I plan to provide copies to the commissioners that regulate the number of hives on a property and precautions to help keep them off their adjoining properties. I hope that something similar can be adopted in Henry County. And as I stated, you are the agency that can accomplish this. Thank you for allowing me to present these facts to you to protect my family. If you need to contact me in the future, my information will be listed below. I also have something I'd like to do. Is that okay? My daughter's an 8-year-old. And the pictures that you've seen, those are all on different days. That's not one day, multiple pictures. That's multiple days, bees. And then they were supposed to provide a water source for the bees. And the pictures you've seen of the hives, there's no water source available. That's why they're coming over to our property. Thank you for your time. And I will keep this brief because I know that you're very busy. As you just heard from my dad, these bees have had a huge negative impact on our lives. I live across the street and fear my 8-year-old will get attacked by these bees while swimming in their pool.
This pool is used by my parents for health reasons and to exercise using the buoyancy of the water to take strain off their joints. Now, instead of offering health benefits, it is the opposite to swim in this pool. It is a health risk, and you can be stung or swarmed by bees anytime you are around it. My parents have tried very hard to handle things without going through the trouble with getting you guys involved. When trying to talk to the neighbors, like neighbors do, and describe the impact these bees were having, they said they felt threatened and didn't want us on their property. Then they said they would move the bees and provide them water, but these things never happened either. They gave reasons why they couldn't do this until conditions were right to move the bees. And then when this time came, they still didn't move them, as if they were hoping things would just blow over in the time and we would just stop trying. There is reasons that beekeepers have bee suits, and it is because bees can be very dangerous in high numbers. I think we can all agree in the videos and pictures that you have seen.
I was just contacted and said this goes on forever.
And somebody's having a reaction. I can help. But here's the thing. In the 10 years, or the 5 years that I've been there have been less than 5 interactions between us. One of them, I think the second or third one, was I saw him through the tree line and I held up a jar of honey. Hey, bud, you want some honey? And I got F you. I don't want your effing honey. F off.
Hey, you want some honey?
Okay.
F you. I don't want your
Message
honey.
received, loud and clear.
And that 2 of the beekeepers I spoke with did report having problems with their own personal swimming pools at times. It's a well-known issue. Bees drink a lot of water and they go looking for it. They're attracted to chlorine and electrolytes. And
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
so I wanted to mention that.
I love the smell of chlorine. Maybe I'm a bee.
Also, I wanted to make it clear that the local beekeepers did not want any kind of ordinance passed, and that it would be restrictive. And I also wanted to mention that one of the beekeepers felt like an ordinance specifically restricting bees from a swimming pool would not hold up in court. And because that was a question I asked hypothetically, if there was some type of ordinance that restricted beehives within a certain distance of a swimming pool, what would you guys think? And they questioned if that would hold up in court. I showed them some of the videos that Tim Earledge had sent me, and they seemed to be in agreement that the bees weren't really swarming like they were looking for a new home. They were working, they were looking for water, and they were finding it at the neighbor's pool. There did seem to be agreement too that the situation was unfair to the Earledges and wouldn't make for a fun swim, but they still did not want an ordinance to rectify it, noting that it would hurt other beekeepers. And they all, I did feel like there was consensus that if the situation was on them, that they would make the situation right by figuring out how to fix it or moving the bees. With one kind of pointing out that sometimes the location just doesn't work for bees, even if you want it to. We had discussion about the fact that Eric does have money invested in his beekeeping operation. We noted that the Earledges have money invested in their pool. Eric has money invested in his beekeeping operation. Hydro thinks that the equipment is expensive. There's financial investment for both parties. And discussion basically was what I expected. It's really not an easy solution. Would hate to penalize beekeepers in general with an ordinance if you could think of an ordinance as a penalty. At the same time, there does seem to be a real situation for the Earledges. I also wanted to note that I spoke with both of the deputies that had been out there. There seemed to be kind of a general consensus that one mentioned did seem like a dangerous situation for someone with a bee allergy, and that it wouldn't make for a fun swim. So I just wanted to communicate that information to the board. And I did send this information to them in writing, though it was very late last night, early morning. So, and we didn't really intend to take any action today, just to kind of open the discussion. And I know, did you still want to say something? Is it okay if Lori comes up and says something before we?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm Lori Norris. My husband and I have been beekeepers for about 10 years. And I can sympathize on both sides of the situation because we are the one, we've had as many as 30 hives on our 0.8 of an acre. We do have a swimming pool that's about 50 feet from our home yard. So we have battled the bee situation and it's not fun. But we were able to find a resolution that worked. in getting the bees their water source prior
Well,
to
tell
opening
us
our
what it
swimming pool.
was.
The other side to that is bees are naturally drawn to chlorinated water. It's not ideal for them, but they really like it. We do still have some bees that frequent our pool,
Bees
but
are
it's not
dumb.
something that keeps us out of it. So as far as Eric, if you need somebody to help, we're willing to do that. Moving a beehive is not just pick it up and move it. It's something that has to be done in increments because bees have a GPS in their antenna. And that sounds a little funny, but
Bees are
if you
smart.
just move them 100 feet,
I don't know.
they're going to go back to their primary location. That's just automatic. We experienced that early on in our beekeeping venture. So it's either move them when they've been closed in the hive for a little bit and they're not oriented at that moment with their surroundings.
Wait a minute. I want to know. Come
It
up
is
here,
hard
Kate, for a
work.
second. Come up here. So where do you fall on this?
Moving because we have three other out
How
yards
do you
besides our home.
dictate what a bug does?
Yeah, right. That's what you're right.
You can dictate how far away from the line they are. You can dictate how, where you place the things, what time of year you're allowed to do it. You cannot dictate what the bug is going to do.
Yeah.
They can have them all the way on the other end of the property, right next to a pond.
Yeah.
And the bees might still be like,
definitely don't want to.
That chlorine, man, I gotta get a hit.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
The way they talk about it sounds like it's like
a drug addict.
Booze or drug for bees.
Yeah, right.
How
it's not good
do
for them,
you-
but they like it.
How do you dictate that? I feel bad for them.
Well,
but how do you? It's not a cow. You can't tie a rope around the bee's neck and drag it home after it wanders off your property.
Yeah. Yeah, this is amazing. So essentially there was a special meeting today to talk about these bees. And since that February 11th commissioners meeting, Susan Hoon has really championed this. She was going to take care of the bees, to get rid of the bees in Henry County, I guess. And she's really been taking a lot of heat over this bee business. And so let's take a look.
Interrupt operations, but we also just feel an obligation to protect
Whoa,
people's
I
enjoyment.
want to make sure. Oh, wait.
We'll start with the in favors of, I guess.
Do you care if I say something before you do that? I just wanted to make a couple of things public as I've gone through, kind of started talking with people. This is the idea of this ordinance came through some complaints that we were getting about a certain property. And just trying to figure out the best way to address those complaints. And I want to say that we are all very well aware of the importance of bees and definitely don't want to interrupt operations, but we also just feel an obligation to protect people's enjoyment of their property. And so this is just us trying to figure out how to walk through this. And one issue that was brought to my attention, and Joel may need to weigh in on it or just think about it, our county attorney, is that an ordinance like this maybe should be originated in the planning commission first. And then it would give more visibility and more opportunity for people to talk about it.
Right.
And so I don't know if that's right or not, but I did just want to mention that we definitely want to make sure that anything that we do, people have an opportunity to come forward and speak about it. And we're not trying to push anything through. We're just trying to work through a problem. And so I just wanted to say that for public record, that if there is a better way to even consider this ordinance, that if it should have been done differently, then we would want to back up and make sure that the proper process was followed. And so with that, I think it's great for people to say what they wanted to say.
What?
This reminds me of the city of Winchester. And I also having one neighbor who wanted to use a private alleyway as a drive-through from one street to another, and went through and spent all this money on attorneys trying to figure out how to make that one neighbor happy.
Yeah.
Does that
Yeah.
feel like this?
Yeah. Yeah, very similar. Very, very similar.
Sorry, that's a weird connection to make. It just that.
No, it
does.
yeah, it does.
With that.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah,
here
yeah.
because one person bitched at you,
Yeah.
and you're bending over backwards. As I said,
My
I
whole
feel
thing-
bad for him, but
I just I kind of don't know if
yeah. And this. Forgotten about
yeah,
that one.
yeah, right. Yes. Yeah, right. It's like it's kind of like, to me, I'm like, does Henry County not have maybe a few more important things to worry about than this? I guess not. I guess everything's okay down there.
I think that we're not necessarily voting on anything today. We wanted to get some feedback. And so thank you, Steve, for letting me say that.
Well, I would agree. I don't know how we regulate Mother Nature. If you want my honest opinion, I think this is kind of a waste. But I also believe that everyone has a reasonable expectation to use their property. And if something is infringing on that right, then sadly it becomes something that maybe we should address, or it needs to be worked out. Some of these things, I don't care what decision we would make, pro or against an ordinance, are going to be a civil matter and shouldn't be discussed or have to be determined by a board of commissioners because people can't get along. That's my frustration with all this, because where do we draw the line with everything that goes on every time somebody has a dispute or a frustration with somebody they can't get along with? So that being said, here we are. So those who want to speak in favor or against or whatever.
Hi, I'm Christy Schul. I am the neighbor of Tim. First of all, he's come here and stated that he's had conversations with us. I don't even know his wife's name. He has not spoken to us, especially not in a kind manner. All I've heard is vulgar language. I have it on a recording, which I'm going to save most likely for my attorney because it sounds like I'm going to need one, or we are going to need one. I don't know what else to do. We have moved our bees now 5 times. It is now out of that complete field next to his property. They're located right next to our home. I believe I sent you guys the video of where we moved them to, correct? And you got that. So, and
Right,
where we're at
Dave.
with that, I mean, that's massive progress. So the other neighbor, it is farther than 100 yards. And we talked to them and they really don't care where we put our bees. They buy our honey. We've offered Tim honey and he said, I don't want your effing honey. That's how we get approached by him. We've tried to work it out. If there were any problems with bees, why didn't he come to us and ask? Beekeepers aren't nasty. We're not nasty people. One of my most favorite things to do is to rescue them. I love doing it. Love it.
Oh,
I
this
love
is a
watching
rescue
man
bee.
enjoy his time with his bees. Right? I love saving them. And did you know there's a shortage in Indiana of bees? If you look up that information, it's all right there. That ordinance that you filled out is ridiculous. Prove scientifically that those are our bees. I'm going to tell you why. Because over the weekend, we did a major investigation. Thank you all for coming here and supporting us. Thank you, especially you, because we got to talk to you. So we discovered several hives less than 2 miles from his property. What's the closest one, Eric, to his pool?
Ours, directly north, about
0.8 miles. There's another beehive. How many? Yeah, it was.
And just down the road from that, there was another.
Bees can travel. They've been known to travel, what, 5? Up to 5 miles for resources. There's bees all around. There's beekeepers. Now we just found and discovered another gentleman here that has more. So we missed some. 5 separate areas less than 2 miles away from Tim. Those are not all our bees. What do you want us to do? Start naming them? Would you like us to actually lift their little wings up and start tattooing? This is how ridiculous. I agree with you. We can't bee babysit. They are livestock. Our bees are registered.
Bee babysit.
Our livestock is registered. What do you want? We are living in privacy. That's why we moved there. We moved there to build a homestead, to be by ourselves. be.
To
by
be by ourselves.
So we're trying to live off our land. We're doing the best we can. I don't see us do anything wrong. We have complied and tried to help 5 times moving those bees. You know, that's traumatizing to them. But this time, this is the final move. I'm done.
It's
If
the
he is
final
not
move.
happy with not looking out through his trees to see us, which apparently this is what he's doing, is spying on us constantly because he's got pictures and videos of what we're doing. And apparently through Facebook post, he's been watching us because there's posts out there. Not that I posted about this and I have about 30,000 views. And I can get a lot more support than that. So I refuse to be quiet over this, and I won't.
I like it.
So the next voice that you will hear from our property, if this continues, will be from our attorney. So that's about all I have to say. Bees are free. Let them be free. Once they leave our property,
let them be free.
They're a bee. What do you want me to do? Hey, bee, stay. They're not a dog.
Sit, boo boo, sit.
Hi, I'm Robin Scott. I live 2 miles from them. I've lived there since 1991. I've always had at least 3 wild hives in trees on my property. I did print off some.
I would be jumping jacks naked and give them something to look at.
They can go up to 5 miles. So the bees in his pool could possibly come from 2 miles away from my property. I have 5
The
hives
bees,
behind
5 miles. Okay, we'll go forward. Oh God, she's still up there.
Don't smash.
Oh God, she's still up there.
Receptive and responsive.
Oh, this guy gets up.
Reached up to tell the truth, and I told him.
Had any problems? I do not have a pool.
Okay, here we go.
My bees are not aggressive. Thank you for your time.
Uh-oh.
I'm Eric Scholl. That was my wife previously, Christy. There's clearly a lack of communication and a lack of interest in even educating oneself when it comes to this complaint. Could I have done things differently with my neighbor? Possibly, but I've always raised up to tell the truth, and I told him the absolute unvarnished, pretty truth that if honeybees want something, they find it and they'll go for it. And unfortunately, because I am the visible source of honeybees, he thinks that they're all me. But as Robin has pointed out, and I'm sure others will, you know, there's many bees around us. So could I have done anything else different? Like, perhaps. I mean, when the man has asked me to move hives, I've moved them. But he has not had a conversation about it. It's more, do this. And he's not taking into consideration the weight of a hive, the quantity of the hives, the amount of work that's involved, or the disruption to the bees. I have to move them in a certain way and only so much distance. It screws up the hive and cuts into honey production, and it causes problems with the bees. So I have tried to take measured steps. Fortunately, this year, I'm able to move them a good distance, and they are now currently double the distance from his pool as they have ever been. So if that's not enough, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I'm trying.
I think one issue is that you've moved them closer to the other neighbor who has also issued a complaint. And so that's just a concern as well, that they are struggling with being stung.
I don't know.
I'm not going to say the person's name.
Well, I mean, if a neighbor has a problem, I'm not out there to be an asshole. It's not. So if they have a problem, they should come talk to me. That's period. I mean, if I have a problem with somebody, I'm going to go talk to them. So, and I'm going to try to be receptive and responsive and cooperative with people. It's not why I'm there, is to be a pain in anybody's backside. So, you know, it goes both ways, right? If he wants something, he can ask for it, but he needs to have a conversation, not just demand and then throw a fit and come to the commissioners about his problem. I agree with you. It's not your responsibility to be the bee police by any means. And nobody wants more regulation in this world. It just makes it harder for any business to, you know, stay afloat. That's pretty much all I have to say, other than beyond my obvious aggravation.
Anybody else?
My name's Alan Smith. I live in Spiceland currently. I work at the Bilbrey Fish and Wildlife area right here. I currently have approximately 120 hives. I have probably 10 hives at my house in Spiceland, right in the middle of town. I've got 50 hives on Steve Hernley's farm just north of Wilbur Wright on 103. My business partner, Dr. Coleman, lives right on the north side of 36, and he's got another 20, 30 hives at his place. I don't know a whole lot about this situation, but I am concerned of how it's going to affect me as a beekeeper. And I have enough hives that I rely on other people letting me put them on their property because I have to spread them out. There's not enough resources to have 100 hives on one property. But most of the stuff they already addressed, I agree with. I understand people being afraid of bees, but the biology of honeybees doesn't support those fears for the most part. My fiance is deadly allergic
good to know,
them.
Brock.
She carries an EpiPen with her all the time. She started taking shots 2 years ago because I have so many of them, and I have queen bees on the kitchen counter in the house most of the summer, and it's just not, I don't see the issue. I don't know how you can pinpoint bees being somewhere and saying they're his bees because he's got bees next door when I've got bees that are perfectly in range to fly over there. The swarms are no concern at all. They have no resources and no brood to protect. I go out and collect them all summer long, wearing what I'm wearing right now with no beekeeping equipment on. And I've not been stung more than 2 or 3 times getting swarms in the last 10 years. So some of it I think is more just a fear, but I'm concerned with how it's going to affect me when I retire from the state in 4 or 5 years. I'm hoping to build up to 300 or 400 hives, and start restricting how many I can have in a place. That's pretty restrictive to an agriculture business, and we don't regulate. I mean, my understanding outside of the city limits, if you're in the county, that's
Biggie, stand by, I'll tell you.
Agricultural, and this is an agricultural practice. We don't tell people how many cows or chickens or sheep or anything else they can have on their farms, but we're going to try to regulate how many bees. And I can take you on Wilbur Wright any day this summer and show you 8 wild bee trees on the Fish and Wildlife area that aren't anybody's bees, that are probably going to the same places.
I will say there is restrictions on how many cows and livestock you can have on certain sizes of property in the county. So there is a restriction.
There is if you're not taking care of them.
No, there's a limit on the number of acres you can have where you have livestock or not. So there is a restriction in the county. It's actually an ordinance.
I've never heard anything about it, and I'm not saying there's not, but I've also dealt with similar situations with neighbors over the years, and not just pertaining to beekeeping, but I've had pet bears at one time, and the neighbors were scared to death. They were going to get out and eat their cows and their grandkids and everything else.
What
I
did he
had them
have?
for 25 years, never had one get out, never had a problem. but
Bear?
They drugged me to court for 1.5 years trying to keep me from being able to have them.
That's
So
crazy.
the judge finally got tired of it and threw it out because they never showed up to the hearings that they were pushing for. And I don't know if the person involved on the other side of this is here or not, but if not, that's kind of an issue to me if you push for all this, but it doesn't mean enough for you to.
I think he might not be aware of it, but I appreciate
Why would he
your
not be
comments. And
aware of
I
it?
do think that you're right that this ordinance would be hard to enforce. What I don't want to do, what we could do, which none of us are interested in doing, is capping the number of hives for everybody, right? But that would be detrimental to so many people and to pollination and all of the things. So the hope was, well, could we do anything for a hive that seems to be having reports from multiple sources? And then the question for this meeting was, is that even practical? And all of the points that everyone's making about how it'd be impossible to prove and different things they are all things that should be said today and things that we expected to talk about today. So I think that's really valid, but
are there not, I've never actually seen it, but like I've went to some of the beekeeping club, like he's over at Richmond and stuff, but is there not already, like, I'm under the impression that there's already a state law that when the bee leaves your hive on your property, when it lands on somebody else's property, it's their bees. I mean, they can do whatever they want to them at that point. If I was this gentleman, for instance, and I had a swarm of bees go on my neighbor's place, you tell me I can't, like, I seen a thing, they said they asked him to come get them and he didn't, which I've never heard of. Every beekeeper I ever known, that if they get a chance to go get a swarm, it's free bees are going to go get them. But they can also keep you from coming and getting them because they're on their property. And I don't see how you have it both ways on that.
Yeah, all good
know,
points.
I've had issues in town all the way on their side of Spiceland, and somebody got a swarm in their house.
Okay,
And they want to come blame me for it on their side of town because I have bees. And no way to tell where those come from to begin with. And I usually do everything I can to keep mine from swarming, because if they swarm, then they're not producing honey because they're out somewhere else, not in the hive I put them in. So
what do you do to keep them from swarming away?
How do you keep them?
Yeah, what do you do to?
You basically, I mean, Ron can correct me if I'm wrong, but the way, I mean, I split mine out in the spring when they first initially grow, and I turn one hive into 2 or 3 hives to keep the numbers down in the hives. And outside of that, I take out of stronger hives, I'll take frames of brood out and put them in weaker hives to keep them from getting too strong. And you have to stay on top of them. And I mean, I graft queens, so once I can start grafting queens in the spring of the year, I'm constantly making more hives by taking.
That's crazy.
I'll graft a queen and get it.
I mean, this dude's like a scientist.
Young bees out of the other hives to start new hives with. But
where do you put those hives then? If you feel like you've maxed out on your own property, are you locating those other places then? Because if you're creating new hives, then are you looking for new places to put them?
Yeah, like I said, I've got hives in
multiple locations,
different properties besides mine. But
so if you didn't do that, you would either increase the number of hives on your property every year, or they'd swarm, you'd lose them. Is that the case if you didn't?
It's not, swarming's not from being too many in a place. That's just natural. I mean, that's their natural way to reproduce and have more bees. I mean, so they're gonna swarm no matter what. By the beekeeping practices, you can manipulate them and prevent the number of swarms, but I don't know anybody that can stop them totally. Can you stop them totally? I mean, I have some swarm every year. You try to stay on top of them, but it's hard to do. But like I said, it's not beneficial to the beekeeper if they swarm, because if half your colony flies away, they're not making any honey for you. They're going somewhere else. So, but there's just, like I said, I'm more worried about the potential of it if something's done countywide. And then, like, currently I have my bees on 5 other farms, but at some point I plan on in the fall of the year, like, bringing all my bees to my farm to make them easier to manage, do spring feeding, stuff like that. And then in the spring of the year, move them back out to the other areas. Do you still send stuff out to pollinate, or have you stopped doing that? You know, like, sometimes you could have quite a few on your property, even if you're not keeping them there all the time. So like I said, I'm concerned with the potential issues from what comes of this situation and how it's going to affect me and how I plan on making a living once I retire from the state. So just wanted to be involved. Yes. You can, and some strains of bees are more aggressive. I know I've gotten bees from Bastions before, and they're extremely gentle compared to most of the bees I've got. But most of my bees come from swarm traps that I put up, and I've caught wild swarms, and they're not always as gentle because they're not used to being around people all the time. So, but I had one swarm I picked up in Rush County that I wasn't familiar with them. I knew they were really dark bees, but they ended up being Russian bees, and they caused me all kinds of problems and robbed all my other hives and made all my other bees aggressive. And I finally moved them in a woodlot by themselves away from everything, and they produce honey like crazy, but they're no fun to be around. So, but anyway, like I said, I'm concerned with the potential of where this goes and how it's going to affect.
This is interesting.
So,
thank you. Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
I might start watching a bunch of shit about bees.
Anyone else? For or against at this point?
You have to talk into the mic so everyone online can hear you.
So you guys have based this ordinance off of one complaint.
A series of complaints for one situation.
One situation. And how much of the county is agriculture? What percent?
Quite a bit.
I don't have the percent.
And my parcel of ground is a little over 6 acres, but based off the setback of 100 feet, it's a long, narrow piece of ground.
Yeah.
So based off of your ordinance, there's no bees allowed there, which the state passed a law to prevent local units from prohibiting beekeeping.
And just to be clear, that would only be if you had police complaints that they felt were substantiated. But I do understand what you're saying. For people listening, the ordinance only comes into effect if the police feel that there is a significant safety concern that's substantiated. But go ahead and continue.
Entomologists.
And so that's the question, and that, do they even want to have any part of it? That was the whole point of this meeting. And someone made a good point to me, actually, Mr. Baston did, that in the summer, people may think that something is stinging them that's not even a honeybee, and then the police may not want to have anything to do with that type of conversation. So.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of phone calls that we get called to where we show up, or they think they have a hive in their house and they're not even honeybees.
Listen to me. And I'm not speaking for John Sproles for any stretch of the imagination, or Schofield, the police in Newcastle, Henry County, or any. There's no police officer anywhere in the face of anywhere that wants to give any kind of shit about this, Susan. You are a flippin' idiot.
So.
Are you an entomologist?
No, I'm not.
Oh, you said that you get calls about it, so I was just.
Yeah, I mean, lots of beekeepers.
Oh, as a beekeeper. Okay, I understand.
Knows that you keep bees. They'll call you and say, "Hey, I've got these bees in my property.
Right.
Can you come get them out?" And you go over and they're damn yellow jackets.
Right. Right.
Well, listen, I'm going to tell you right now. The place where the studio is moving, that is something that we've talked about doing, is having beehives. Absolutely. I don't know anything about this, but it's something that we've been talking about possibly getting into. So this is interesting to me. First of all, is that, and then hearing all this crazy shit is nuts.
So this ordinance is only in effect if you have a complaint. If you don't have a complaint, you can have
anything that
100 hives on your property.
Yeah. Just trying to see if there's anything we can do for these neighbors
There's
who
not.
Have come to us. And it's just, we're just thinking.
Did she honestly just agree with him when he said, you can do anything you want with your bees so long as your neighbors don't complain?
Uh-huh.
What?
Yeah.
Then why are you writing an ordinance?
Well, that's what the ordinance would be. The ordinance says in Henry County, you can do whatever you want unless your neighbors complain. And then an ordinance would go into effect.
County in by their house. Can you imagine how good the roses would look?
Oh,
yeah. Right. I heard him. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. This is total nonsense. This is total nonsense. Yeah, Heather, that's exactly right.
About it. Just listening to the people who come to us concerned. Yeah. Where did you? They're right here.
I don't think it was real clear in there that it only came into effect if there was a call, but even at that, I mean, I've had hives in town, and I can remember a couple years ago I got a call that there was a swarm and it was a block away from my house, so I thought, my bees have swarmed, so I'll go get them. And they weren't my bees.
You could tell by looking at them that they weren't.
I went through my hives afterwards. They were still in there, and they were still, fresh eggs, actively laying. So they weren't my bees. Okay. They came from somebody or a wild bee tree. Because I don't think anybody around me has bees in town. And I could easily see the cops saying, "Well, those are your bees." They weren't my bees.
Right. That's all very good points. Yeah.
You guys are opening yourself just a quagmire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And also going against the way that the state's been ruling on this and the laws that they crafted. They crafted the original law, and then afterwards they had so much complaints about HOAs that they crafted a second law for amendment.
I think when I've been looking at this for several months, and it did not seem like there was any recourse for these neighbors, but I have recently been told that there is a state aviary, I'm spacing the word now that I'm talking out loud, inspector who, and that maybe that is a more appropriate recourse is for someone who is an expert on bees to try to determine if there's a problem rather than people who are not. So that has happened since this meeting was scheduled. Well, what has happened is just that I was told that there's a state aviary inspector. I just found out information basically.
I do want to address one aspect of this. You keep talking about the complainants' right to enjoy their property. What about mine?
So where does your rights trump everybody else's? This is the thing. And this is why this shouldn't even be here. We shouldn't even be talking about that. My opinion, if you two want to get in a boxing ring and knock the crap out of each other, so be it. Because I really, at this point, I'm over it. I'm tired of these people coming because somebody can't settle a dispute. They come to the commissioners and we have to play police in the playground. And that's ridiculous because I can't make you two like each other. Can't do it. It isn't going to happen.
Understood.
So, but he is just as entitled to enjoy his property. He put a pool in there that probably cost him quite a bit of money that he says he can't use. We saw the video with the meeting of all the other swarms of bees. I don't know where they come from. Don't care. If it was me and they bothered me that much, I'd have gotten rid of the bees. That's how I'd have solved it. But that's just me. So this is where we're at. We shouldn't even be discussing this. This has nothing to do with commissioners. Not a dadgum thing. But here we are.
I agree.
So this is what's going on right now. So until you two, and I don't know how to fix it, until you two neighbors get along or figure out what it is that he isn't swarmed so he can't enjoy his property, then you're going to have an issue. And in my opinion, it's going to wind up being a civil issue, not a commissioner's problem, but a civil issue. And that's where you're at. That's the way I feel about it. Now, I'm just 1 out of 3, but that's where I'm at.
And can we just say that and just be done with this meeting? Because it's ridiculous. I totally agree with you. It's a waste of our resources, all of us, right? I'd take time off from work. And I just started the job and I'm not supposed to be able to have time off. So I'm risking my livelihood right here to be here because this is important to me, right? Okay, so I understand your stance. I'm there with you. But that said, there are things that I could talk to him about, or maybe another beekeeper talk to him about to describe exactly what's happening, because the video you saw was not a swarm. That was drone congregation behavior. He's created unintentionally the perfect mating ground for honeybees, and that's what they're seeing. So drones are bigger, they fly slower, they're louder, they're scarier. They can't even sting you. They don't have a stinger. But this guy sees this big cloud of big nasty bees and oh my God, everybody's gonna adopt me. Really? That's all I got. Thank you.
I'm curious, how long have you had some hives?
I started in 22.
And now it's just suddenly this problem?
It's been happening since the hives went in. Is what the neighbors say. I mean, I'm just repeating what the neighbors are saying.
So here's the thing,
Mhm.
the neighbors that you're talking about, he's got his sons and his daughter lives close by. Of course, those are the people that are going to complain and agree with him. You think? I want to bring up another issue that I have another problem with. Is it normal that a commissioner just shows up at your house unannounced to come and ask about your bees? Is that normal behavior from a commissioner?
With our
Because I
attorneys,
guarantee if I would have been home that day, no,
with our attorney's
that's our
permission,
private property.
with our attorney's permission, I told your husband he was under no obligation to talk to me. And I asked him if he
You're
would
lucky
have
you
a
got him,
conversation
because
with
I
me.
would not have allowed you in my house.
Okay, and I would certainly not have come then.
And
course.
talking about, if this is your attorney, then your attorney knows the Indiana laws, right? We're grandfathered in. That's another law. You know the laws for bees. Come on. This is ridiculous. I agree with
Maybe
you.
he doesn't, but he,
So
he
agree.
should find
This
out.
is ridiculous. We have tried to get along with him. If he would listen to, we're not like hateful people for real, but this has turned me into, we are under duress. We have been harassed.
Yeah.
This is ridiculous. I can't sleep at night.
Jesse Williamson showed up
What?
at their house.
We live in the beautiful area. It is gorgeous. And it's ruined because of this, just because of this. Thank you too for the loss of sleep. I appreciate it.
Anybody else?
First of all, I want to clear one thing up that people keep talking about. There are no wild hives in Indiana. So when somebody says they got bees living in a tree, or these bees have been there forever, those bees came from somebody's beehive. This is just something I want to clear up. Varroa mites is a bug that attacks the bees and kills them, gives them viruses and they die. The Varroa mites moved in to the United States back in the 90s, and the Varroa mites killed all the wild hives. There are no feral hives left unless you go deep into woods somewhere. You might find one. But the hives people are finding in houses and trees came from somebody's beehive. So I wanted to clear that up. I've had some conversations. I don't know Eric. I've had some conversations with him over the weekend, especially, that I think some of his beekeeping practices might be in question. One thing I haven't found out, do you have a permanent water source yet? It's permanent. That's not a permanent water source. Okay, honeybees need permanent water source. They need preferably flowing water if you can do it. You need rocks in it. You need ways they can get out of the water. Bees can't swim. Okay, they need rocks and things. Bees want to land on something and go down to the water and get the water and get back out. Okay, bees are brooding up right now. They're brooding up big time. So they're using a quart of water a day per hive. So you need this permanent water source. Kitty Cool, for as many hives as you're talking, is not going to do it. You've got to have something bigger. 12 hives? Okay. When you
That's interesting,
text
Mary.
me, you
Yeah,
said you had
right.
been up to 40 hives.
At the peak, yes, and then I downside.
Okay.
It was too much.
Yeah,
Much for me.
and 40 hives is too many hives for that area, especially. When you only have 15 acres and you got people around you. So, and then I also learned the way you were extracting honey. You're extracting honey during the dearth, and then you're not feeding your bees.
No.
Right. So when bees don't have anything to eat, they go get whatever they can get. If they happen to find water, then those bees that used to be foragers, they now only forage for water. So each time a bee, whether it's yours or not yours, each time that bee goes back to the hive, performs its little waggle dance and tells everybody where they found the water, all the other bees are going, well, there's nothing blooming, let's go get water. So everybody goes and gets water.
Every area that we visited, all the 5 areas.
I got to start. I'll tell you this. I got to start getting into looking up bees, because what he said they do a little waggle dance.
Are they seriously having a beekeeping class in the middle of a fucking commissioner meeting?
Yeah, that's right. Like, adjourn. You guys can go outside and talk, and we're gonna go ahead and leave.
Yeah.
This is really interesting, though. I'm gonna go talk to that guy in the hat.
Our honey during the year, so our bees don't need a water source. They don't need a food source because they have a food source. We extract our honey starting August 1st. And after we extract our honey, the very first thing we do is feed every one of our hives 4 gallons of feed to replace everything that we took from them.
See what Susan did here? This is all Susan's fault.
To do with what they need for the hive, but they're foragers by trade, so that's what they go do. Okay, so if you're pulling honey in the summer, you got to be feeding those bees. You got to pull those supers off.
I'm not taking every last resource.
Okay.
Just full complete.
What you need to understand is during the summertime when the bees are brooding up, they're putting everything up there in those supers. So when you're pulling those frames of honey out, they may not have anything down below because they put it up there because they're giving that whole box for the queen to raise brood. So it's just some beekeeping practices need to come into place.
And I appreciate this.
Yeah, if you really want to prove to your neighbors and nip this whole thing in the bud that they're not your bees, move those bees off your property for 2 months. Move them 5 miles away. If the bees go away, I got a spot I'll give you that you said I'm not running bees on this year. It's about 5 miles away and those bees will not fly there. And prove to your neighbors that they're not your bees. If they still got a bee problem, they got to leave you alone. They're not your bees.
Yeah, my contact information. Together.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Well, looky there.
Thank you.
And Josh, did you want to say anything about the sheriff's department and this ordinance, or are we past that at this point? Okay, I just didn't want to invite you and then not give you the opportunity to say anything. So, okay. Okay.
My name is Tom Norris. Live in Jefferson Township, and I have hives at several different locations. And I want to address this draft of the ordinance. And when it states that, I'm only allowed to, help me understand this, sometimes I'm a little thick. The owner may have the owner may have no more than 1 hive on each acre of property where the owner's bees are kept, or 10 hives, whichever is less.
So that would be if you had 2 acres, you'd have 2 hives, but if you had 12 acres, you can only have 10.
I have 8/10 of an acre, Susan. How am I supposed to do that?
Well, and again, this is only if there's a substantiated safety concern. But you're right. And then in that case, it would alleviate, like you wouldn't be able to. And that's why we're here talking, right? Because, and it's a good question. Yeah, that's the point is, what recourse do people have if they feel like their neighbor's bees are running them off their property?
I have my hives at my 8/10 of an acre. My neighbor across the street, I don't know how far, where I live, 100 yards, probably. Yeah, I get stung by a bee. They complain. I won't go into the fact that it's my bee or not my bee. It probably is my bee, you know what I'm saying? Or somebody comes to my property, walks across my yard, gets stung.
Your points are all good.
Department.
Right.
I'm done.
Right.
And like I said, I have
insane
for his pumpkins.
Okay.
And I had people call me up and say, your bees is over here in my trough. And I'm
Jesus.
Smaller hives have everything that they need, then so that they don't.
God, he somehow got back up.
And they don't go. They're very expensive.
Yeah.
I really appreciate everyone that came and appreciate the beekeepers in the county. And I make a motion to adjourn.
I would, as far as the adjournment, I'm okay with, because this has gone on long enough. But I want to say that for the most part, we don't like making ordinances we don't have to. But everybody has the right to enjoy their own property. So when stuff happens that infringes on that right, then they're looking for an answer or a resolution. And sadly, it comes to us sometimes to try to figure it out. I don't like the fact of even trying to regulate Mother Nature because I can't. I think I'm in charge, try bossing somebody else's dog around. It doesn't happen. So that being said, hopefully with what Ron has said to you, that maybe you guys can work together to come up with some solution or resolution that you and your neighbors can get along, because I want them to be able to enjoy their pool as much as you enjoy your bees. So, but I believe that for the most part, what you guys are going through is
I will one up, Steve. I don't give a shit how you enjoy your I don't care if you enjoy your property at all, and I don't care if you enjoy your bees at all. Just I don't want to deal with it. You quit talking about it. Figure it out. You leave us alone. Go to court. Let the judge deal with it.
civil matter that none of us 3 up here are going to be able to fix. So that's where we're at. So motion to adjourn.
Second.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Jesus. I'm telling you, man.
Did they
Henry
actually
County.
do anything with the ordinance?
No, this was just a talking session. This was just a.
I get that it's a special meeting, but did they like talk about tabling it, getting rid of it? I mean,
No. No.
so this can come back in a regular meeting.
I don't know. I need to talk to some people down in Henry County and find out. I don't know. I think this was, I don't know. No. This wasn't something that had been written. This was just a draft of something. I don't think it's ever been brought up or voted on. So it's never been like the topic got brought up in the meeting on the 11th of February.
Right. So, but
I don't think it's ever been talked
come
about.
back then.
Yeah, I guess essentially it could come back. What I'm hearing is Susan was real gung-ho on this, and now she's getting a lot of pushback, and so she's backing away from it's what I'm hearing. Hopefully this just goes away and they don't push us any further, because I think it's nuts. I think this needs to just go away, and they need to let this go. I have a woods full of mosquitoes, and I'm guilty of biting my neighbors. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's the great Henry County bee issue. I'm glad we got that taken care of. With so much seriousness going on, with people being killed in jails, and with the insurance being crazy, and pursuits and fatalities, all kinds of nonsense. I'm glad that we could slow down and enjoy nature and talk about bees and honey and birds and idiots. It's always a good time. Hey, I did have one person ask me, Biggie Smalls said, is there any new news, updates, or anything on the Bell case? I have not talked to Amy. Amy's been on here, obviously. And she's not, I don't know what she said, as far as where they are, but I will talk to her privately and see what I can say. I don't know. I don't think there's anything big as of right now. I will tell you, I know that they have an attorney fighting the criminal case, which I think should be easy to defeat. If not, maybe even get dismissed before they go to court. Hopefully that can happen. And I know that they have an attorney to file a civil case. So we'll see what happens, and we'll let you guys know. I can tell you tomorrow. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us this evening. Hey, I didn't say at the beginning of the show, sometimes we just get straight into it. You know how we do. If there are some of you now that have not, please smash that like button. I would be so forever grateful if you would or could do that. And help us out there. That would be great. Share the show with everyone you know, help spread the word, and we will then do it all again tomorrow. You guys take care. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. Have a great Wednesday, and we will see. Or no, yeah, tomorrow is Wednesday. No, tomorrow's Tuesday. Sorry, got confused. Have a good Tuesday, and we will see you back here tomorrow evening, Tuesday night. You guys take care. God bless each and every one of you, and good night.